It is for this very reason that it is vital for South Africa to retain diplomatic channels with both Israel and the Palestinian Authority. The ANC's decision to withdraw diplomats from Tel Aviv and the EFF's proposed expulsion of the Israeli ambassador will diminish our country's ability to demand accountability in the region and to influence a swift and peaceful resolution to this war. Sadly, honourable members, in the face of this brutal war, the political opportunism on display by both the ANC and the EFF is indicative of their inherent moral bankruptcy. Having failed to build a prosperous South Africa, these parties must now look for any opportunity to deepen divisions from which they can score cheap political points. This is why when the ANC and their proxies look to Gaza, they do not see human tragedy. Rather, they see political opportunity.
Yes, Chair. Thanks, Chair. I'm sorry the system kicked you out and I have to repeat this. The rules are very clear about us discussing a relevant topic on the table. We're talking about Palestine and a motion in relation to the expulsion of Israel. And the honorable member is speaking about the Sudan. I mean, what would happen if we allow other people to also come speak about gangsterism in Cape Town, other people to come speak about other conflicts? We must stick to the topic on the table.
Thank you, Honorable Josie.
The ANC today is again in a rather difficult position, and it reminds me of what we saw a few years ago when the EFF took the initiative when it came to the question of expropriation without compensation. It was the EFF that brought a motion to Parliament, and then the ANC had to follow. Now we've got the same situation today where the EFF takes the initiative and the ANC will have to follow. I listened very carefully to the Honourable Deputy Minister Mashego Dlamini, and I heard her say that the ANC is currently discussing this and they will have to take a decision one way or the other. Well, fact of the matter is that this resolution will be before the House on Tuesday next week, and then we will have to vote on that motion. So the ANC has got until Tuesday next week to decide what their position is going to be. The fact of the matter is that if you expel the Israeli ambassador and cut all diplomatic ties with Israel, South Africa will not be in a position to play any role whatsoever in terms of any mediation or any chance to try and play a constructive and a positive role to bring this conflict to an end. However, it's interesting to note that not one Arab country that currently does have diplomatic ties with Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Morocco, the United Arab Emirates, not one of them have severed any diplomatic ties with Israel despite what is currently going on.
It is hypocritical for Mr. Malema and the EFF to accuse Israel of killing defenseless children and women in Gaza when they know that Hamas, their brutal friend, is using women and as human shields. The ACDP wants to know, when is the EFF and ANC going to start wearing scarves in solidarity with South African families whose loved ones are killed daily in this country? The wearing of Palestinian scarves when they come to Parliament highlights the fact that they love haters of Israel much more than they care for their own people here at home. In conclusion, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn reminded us the other day that in the book of Jeremiah, God said, and I quote, "As long as the sun and stars of heaven remain in the sky, so long as the order of the cosmos is in place, the Jewish people will remain a nation before him," close quote.
Very much, Speaker. We fully agree with all those who are saying we need to insist on the arms embargo against Israel, and we must also continue with our withdrawal of our embassy staff from Tel Aviv and Israel. We fully agree that indeed parties such as the DA will never understand the suffering of the people of Palestine because they've never been in the conditions those people find themselves in. If anything, they benefited from the suffering and the pain of others, and they will not immediately relate with what is happening in Palestine. We know what is forced removal. We know what is land occupation. We are still coexisting with land occupiers who come here and want to tell us about political point scoring and political opportunism. We cannot be lectured about human rights by beneficiaries of the butchering of our people. People who still wish that the tables can turn and that they can perpetuate what they used to do during apartheid days. So for the fact that they do not have an experience of being a victim of an apartheid, they will never support this. Why should it come as a surprise that the IFP will not support an action to remove an Israeli embassy? They did not support sanctions against apartheid. They did not support the international isolation of the South African apartheid. And they've always been the collaborators. They are direct beneficiaries of some of those who are linked with the apartheid, Zionist apartheid state. So apartheid collaborators and the people who opposed apartheid sanctions and international isolation do not stand any chance of supporting exactly the same call that we're making, because we know the power of international solidarity. So we're calling on all progressive forces to reject the blackmail of the FFPLUS when it says the ANC will support EFF, the ANC can't support EFF, the ANC must be bold. That's how those who benefited from the blood of others will behave. The bloodsuckers, the vultures, the people who are still longing for the human flesh of Africans will never see anything wrong with what is happening in Palestine. Stop scaring us about economic opportunities that are going to be denied when we are removing the embassy of Israel. That is Swart Khefar. It is what Afrikaner apartheid apologists survived with. They always created scaremongering and scare tactics for people not to support the genuine struggle. A product, the immediate beneficiary, the grandchild of the inventors of Swart Khefar is coming with Swart Khefar tactics here, that there are certain economic opportunities that if you remove the Israeli embassy, you will forfeit those opportunities and certain skills. That's what Afrikaner apartheid apologist survives on. And this should never be shocking to some of us. So we agree that indeed the referral to the ICC by the president, it's a clear direction that we cannot say these people are engaged in violation of human rights and still have them in our territory. They need to go. We need to take a bold move and say these people will go. And these people must go with immediate effect. We are not opposed to any amendment of any motion, because for us, this is not political opportunism. This is not point scoring. As long as at the end of the day, we agree that the Israeli embassy must be dismissed from South Africa, the rest of other gymnastics which people feel that they need to add on this motion are more than welcome, especially the ANC that pride itself of having benefited from international solidarity. It's an opportunity now for you to stand on the side of the people of Palestine, who have been on the side of the people of South Africa in the struggle against apartheid. It is our opportunity now to thank the world and teach the international criminals that their crimes will no longer go unpunished. Our struggle for the self-determination of the people of Israel is nothing against the Jewish people, is everything against Netanyahu, is everything against the Zionists, is everything against violation of human rights. This morning we're bombarded with SMSs on our phones and emails and social media accounts because the Board of Deputies and the Zionist Federation send their members our numbers to insult us, to intimidate us. We'll never be intimidated. The people of Palestine will know their freedom one day, like we struggled, and today we know our freedom. We will never know true democracy until the world it is democratized and people enjoy the freedom. Palestine shall be free, whether the apartheid apologists like it or not, will be on the side of the people of Palestine. I thank you.